Hey guys, Mitch here from the TheAudioDabbler YouTube channel, and I'm going to take a look at Xequence today. And basically it is a linear, meaning goes across, Midi, advanced Midi, sequencer, controller, however you want to say it. It says advanced linear, advanced something in the description. But anyway, basically it's a linear arranger is how I would do it, because you have multiple tracks and then you can do different sections and things like that. And so it's just kind of an overview. What I want to do is I'm just going to start build some things up and explain as I go. I have IM1 in the background on multi-mode, and then I have some drums on channel 8 and some piano, and I may switch out some other stuff as we go along. Okay, so first off, it starts out with one track. If you want to add, you can add a track title, and so this is bass drum, because I see this done quite a bit. As you separate MIDI wise, a lot of people will separate their bass and their snare and their hi-hat and things like that. Okay, and so in this next section over here, the first section will bring up a control, kind of just an on-screen keyboard that you can play things in. Probably should turn this volume down. Haven't tested the volume, but anyway, so you just click on it and it'll bring this up. You can click off of it and it'll take it away. You can do your keys, your scales, do some MIDI CC information. You can do single or double. You can change the height. You can have it lock to where you can't move it, or you can have it scroll. Then you can have velocity, and then I think this is glide. We'll test that in just a moment. But you can see the velocity goes from dark to light. So the darker is less, and then the lighter is more. And so you can kind of do velocity sensitivity with things, like you can do some hi-hats and things like that, alternating. So anyway, so that's that. Okay, so I have this instrument, bass drum, and it's pointing to instrument, which that's this one. And so you kind of have different tracks, and you'll see this as I go. You'll have different tracks, but then you can point those MIDI tracks to a certain MIDI destination. Okay, and so this first MIDI destination is labeled instrument. I can change that to drums. Okay, I can select the destination as IM1, and then I can select the MIDI channel of 10, which is how I have it set over into IM1. And now if I have this selected and I go here, I am controlling IM1 with Xequencer. And so now that I have that, I have a couple options. I can go ahead and I can program in some bass drums, and so I can click down here at the bottom and I get this blinking cursor. And if I turn the ruler on, or the timeline, I can kind of see, and I can just kind of drag over, and there's a area that I can start putting MIDI notes in. Now once you have that selected, it'll bring up, and these buttons will be highlighted at the bottom, and you can delete it, you can duplicate it, or you can duplicate it and link it. And if I duplicate it and link it, you'll see that it has BD4 and then BD4. And what that'll do is anything I add to this one, it will automatically add to that one. And if I just duplicate it, then any changes that I have will not affect the duplicated one. It'll only change the duplicated effect one. And so that is that. So if I want to go in and actually, oh, and one more thing, these two right here, this longer one right here, I can move it. So that's nice, and then I can adjust the length. So if I scroll in, if I only want this to be 4 bars, just like that, then I can select that one. I can move this one over and change it to 4 bars. Or I could change it to 2 bars if I wanted to. So it's just really nice. The fluidity of moving this around is pretty nice. Okay, so I can go in, I can kind of double click, and now I am in the MIDI sequencer mode, and I can preview the sounds over here. Okay, so I want this C3 bass drum. I can record it in, and it'll quantize it to up here at the top, whatever you want. 2, 4, 8, 16th, 32, 64 off, and it'll even do to the triplets and things like that. And down here at the bottom, it says where it says it's got the number sign 16, but that's really more indicating that it's the grid right here. So I can turn it to 4th note grid, and if I want to zoom in a little bit and start playing stuff, sequencing some stuff in, I can just highlight and you can see that blinking, and I can just start tapping in, or I can untap. So I can just put a basic pattern like that. Okay, and then now that that's on, there's a little check mark here to kind of exit out of that mode. And see, you can see I only programmed it in on the first one, but it's automatically on the second sequence. Okay, and then if I want to, I can select all down here at the bottom. And so this little button with the little grid, not a grid, with the alternating boxes, that will kind of give you some selection options to invert what you have selected, select the linked ones, select a certain track, an instrument, all or none, and then when you're in the Midi, when you're in the actual sequencer, it'll have you a few different options. But now I can do select section, and now I'm looping the section, and it'll loop accordingly. Okay, so now what if I want to add in a snare? Well, then if I hit this plus sign below, it's going to add another track, but nothing's going to be translated to it. But if I hit this plus sign here, then it will actually duplicate this track. So you can see it's duplicated the BD. So I can go here and I can change this to snare. Okay, and I'm pointing it to drums, which is there. Okay, so now I can just click off of it. I can go back here. I can do snare like that. Double click on it. Find the snare that I want. Okay, now if I wanted to play this in, I can, and so I can hit, and now it's recording in. Hold on, let me find, there we go, we can turn the tempo on. Oh yeah, the metronome's not set up. That's something else that, it don't have a built-in, it has a built-in metronome, but it sends it out to something, and so it's kind of awkward, but anyway. You gotta see how you can hear how the velocity goes. Now that recorded in, if I hit unselect right there, that'll go. Now if I want to duplicate what I did here, I can select it and then I can duplicate it, and it's linked up. And now anything that I change in here, will automatically get translated over into the other one, as you can see, and it works out great that way. Okay, so now what if I want to add in some, so let me delete this one. So now what if I want to add in some piano? So I can click back here, I can add a Midi track, is what I wanted, kind of how I see the workflow going first. Okay, and so now I can go piano, piano. I know piano's on channel 1. IM1 is the place I want to be. Okay, and so now I can go back to here and I can add in, and it'll automatically select piano. Okay, and so now I can go in here and I can select the piano. Convert loops to parts. I haven't really played with this little magic wand section, but it's got some pretty cool stuff. You can unlink things if you want. You can link, you can loop, you can join in sections. If you have multiple little sections, you can kind of join them together. Okay, so now then I want to just hit play. Okay, so that's a horrible example, but you can see you can just play it in, and then the zooming is fairly good. You can zoom in. You can click on a note and it'll select it. And there's a little option in here. Single tap notes selects none. If that is on, highlighted, it kind of acts a little different than if it's not. So I can kind of double click and it'll select everything, or I can just single click. But once I have a note selected, I can adjust it really easily on screen. It's just beautiful that way. You can adjust the note length to multiple ones. I can kind of duplicate that note. You can easily delete if you want. You can change the grid size. I did that earlier. And so if I want to go in and add a note, you just a simple click and drag, and then if you don't want that section, once you have a note in, you can easily click and drag and move it around, which is really nice. I think the MIDI editing portion is pretty phenomenal. It's just getting notes in. And so you have this other section here for modulation, and then you can set the modulation to off if you want some really precise modulating stuff. I don't have notes at that beginning section, and this the little icon here that's got the lines going up in size, that's for your velocity, and so you can adjust the velocity for each. I would assume, how would you do? Okay, I gotta have it selected. Okay, I can select it, but then I can draw in some different velocity curves and make it a little more dynamic. Once I'm done, I can click that, and you can see the automation is on the screen. So it's pretty awesome. And so then what I could do is I could select all right here, and if I wanted to duplicate that, I could do that. I wanted just to select a couple. Trying to think how I could accomplish that. There you go. So you can click and hold, and you can select some. And so this right here is where I could go in and get those selected. I could use this magic wand tool to combine them, or I could use it to split. Maybe I need this right there. So there's this little like magical line, I call it, because I couldn't really quite figure out exactly what it does. But it splits wherever this little magical wand is, if you got that selected, which is kind of cool. And so there's that. So it's just got a lot of really, really cool, really neat features. Then I can easily move this around if I want to. Make it bigger, make it smaller. Move that around, duplicate it out. So it's just quick and easy and fast, I think, as far as moving things around and just navigating. And so I see someone who wants to use this app. You could use this to, obviously you could sequence. You got 8 tracks in IM1, and so you could just build up an entire sequence with these 2 apps, with Xequence and IM1, and have a full track. Or you could use AUM. So that's another cool piece I will show you. I just closed everything out, didn't mean to, but let's go into AUM. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video than I had anticipated, but I can go in, bring up AUM, audio extensions, do like iSim. Once it's loaded, come on, you can do it. Let's clean the screen. We can load in audio unit Poison. Okay. And so now I can open up, because AUM don't have any kind of sequencer. But this seems to be fairly low CPU usage for a sequencer. So let's go to a new project here. Go back, select instrument. Let's call this one iSim. And I'm going to set its destination to AUM channel 5. And then I'm going to change this one's title to Poison. Change it to channel 8, AUM. And so both of these are pointing to AUM channels 5 and channel 8. Okay, so now I can go in to here. I can select AUM as the destination, turn all the notes off except for channel 5, and do the same thing here. AUM as the destination, all channels off, channel 8. Okay, so now I will, whenever I go into this section, add a track, you got iSim and you got Poison, and it kind of automatically does it. And you can see here you can select different ones. And so if I had something targeted for iSim and I wanted to change it to Poison, I could do that. Okay, so just to verify that what I have going will work. Oops. Alright, let's go into here. So that is controlling iSim. We can verify. Okay, so now if I want to click out of this, oops. So let's loop that section. Go in, move that over. See how just quick? I mean, I missed that number 1, but I know it easily just to select this and move it around. It's just really well designed, I think. Double click in that, and then let's add in some notes. trying to figure out what that little icon does, because I know this scrolls or locks, so maybe if that's locked. Oh well. Anyway, so I mean, you can see how simple that was to just throw in ISIM and Poison, so you could easily use AUM as your sound source for hosting a lot of audio units, and then you can bring those and sequence those with Xequencer, and everything is, or Xequence. Is it Xequence or Xequence? It's Xequence, not Xequencer. And yeah, you can just start throwing in, and you can, you know, build up your track, you know, as much as you need to, as many tracks this way. You know, as far as I know, there's not a limit as far as in length goes to a track. If I wanted to go on, yep, see, I can keep going as far over as I want to. And then with the unlimited pack, you can do unlimited tracks. And so things are just pretty cool. Oh yeah, one more thing that I want to show you, and then I will let you guys go. So if I have one note selected, you can fill in your parts. You can do an octave up or down. Make it go legato if you want. And you can also select the beats. And so like if let me program this in. Let's go 1. Okay. And so say I was messing with some drums and I wanted to select all the kick drums. I'll just select the one, and then I go here and I select the beat, and so now it select everything on the beat. And so now that's pretty cool. I could adjust the length of those real quick if I wanted to make the bass drums a little bit bigger or longer and things like that. And so that's pretty cool stuff. So now that's really horrible sounding, and so hopefully this helps, you know, show you kind of how it works, and, you know, some different ways you can use it with AUM, or you just, you know, an app like IM1 that's got a bunch of different sounds. If you're not too fond of the MIDI controls or the MIDI sequencer inside of Gadget, you could use this to control all your different gadgets and, you know, record them in if you want to. And yeah, so that's about all I have for you guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of you know, just content, just subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Just continue to like and to share my videos. If you want to support good content, then I do have a Patreon. I will leave a link in the description below, or you can just do a one-off donation to my PayPal link, also in the description. And I will talk to you guys later.